Assalamu alaikum. All my brothers and sisters. Well, I hardly, for one time in my life, know how to get started. But I can let you know in advance that we're not going to keep you here tonight very long. I first have to make a confession. I almost didn't get here tonight. Something came up and a situation developed where we were going to almost have to postpone our little brief talk until next Sunday. But thanks to the one that created the universe, some call him God, some call him a whole lot of things, I call him Allah, I'm thankful to be able to be here. Now, brothers and sisters, and also, all I would like to do tonight, and beg your forgiveness, is to give you a brief sketch or outline on some experiences that I've had during the past 18 weeks. It's certainly good to be back, although I don't know how a black man can leave a black continent and come back to a white continent and say it's good to be back. I would like to give a brief sketch to you concerning some of the experiences that I've had, some of the things I've seen, some of the things I've heard, so that you can evaluate them with your own mind. And then it's our intention, the reason that it has to be brief, I have to leave the country again this week. I'll be back next Sunday, but I'm involved in a debate at Oxford, London, in England, outside of London, on Thursday, and I have to go there for that, and then come back here for a rally that we're going to have next Sunday night, at which time we are going to try and get some experts to come and give us an outline of exactly what has taken place in the Congo, so that the black people in Harlem won't have to be involved in a situation where we'll be sitting on the log wondering what's going on. I think that you and I should realize that the time has come for us to let the world know that we're not only interested in some kind of integrated situation in the United States, but we're interested in taking our place on the world stage, and we're interested in anything that involves black people anywhere on this earth. And it would be a crime. It would be a crime for you and me to be in a city that has more black people in it than any other city on this earth, New York City, and we be silent in the face of the criminal action of the United States government in conjunction with Belgium here in that Congo. I mean criminal action that this government has involved itself. Lyndon B. Johnson, he said it today, he's to blame, and he didn't have to say it. We know he's to blame before he said it. He waited until the people voted for him, and he got in, and things got cut and dried, and then he got in cahoots with Belgium, one of the worst racist governments that has ever existed on the face of the earth, the Belgians. This government, in conjunction with that government, dropping paratroopers in the Congo under the pretext that it's some kind of humanitarian operation. So next Sunday night, we are going to try and get some of our African brothers and some of our Afro-American brothers who are well-versed in the facts concerning the history of the Congo, how the white man happened to be over there in the first place, why he is over there still and finds it so difficult to leave, and most important of all, what are the factors behind the deep-rooted hostility that seems to lie in the hearts of our Congolese brothers toward them. We want to know if our brothers savage, as they keep implying, or are they justified in the feelings that they've been displaying toward these people who are over there in their land, not by their invitation. So I don't want to get on that, but this is what we want next Sunday night. And we're going to try and get some help in outlining the incident that led us to the present situation in the Congo today. But never believe what you read in the newspaper. They're not going to tell you the truth. The truth isn't in them. Not when it comes to the Congo, they can't tell the truth. You know, I was on the radio with a man the other night, and he had the nerve to tell on the air about some Congolese atrocities and the benevolence of the Belgian government, and how atrocities never took place, you know. I didn't believe that a white man so intelligent would have so much nerve in 1964. I could see him taking that stand in 1924, or even 44, or maybe 54, but not 1964. So, brothers and sisters, when I left here on July the 9th, it was primarily because I had just been successful in starting a new religious organization, which many of you have heard about, the Muslim Mosque Incorporated, and we had just also been successful in organizing a new non-religious organization, the Organization of Afro-American Unity. So the main reasons for undertaking the journey, one of the main reasons for undertaking the journey was to lay a foundation. It is impossible for any black group in America to become involved in any kind of religion that doesn't have roots directly connected with some source in the East. And it is impossible for any black group in America to become involved in any kind of political organization that doesn't have some roots directly connected with our roots on the African continent. You waste your time. You waste your time involving yourself in any kind of organization that is not directly connected with our brothers and sisters on the African continent. Can I prove it? Yes. There was a time in this country when they used to use the expression about Chinese, he doesn't have a Chinaman's chance. Remember when they used to say that about the Chinaman? You don't hear them saying that nowadays. Because the Chinaman has more chance now than they do. And what makes the cheese so binding, he has the same thing they have. And will use it faster than they will. It was not until China became independent and strong that Chinese people then, all over the world, became respected. They never became respected by sitting in, begging in, praying in, kneeling in, or crawling in. They became respected only when China as a nation became independent and strong. And then they had something behind them. They had someone behind them. And once China became independent and strong and feared, then wherever you saw a Chinaman, he was independent. He was strong, and he was feared, and he was respected. And it's the same way with you and me. They can pass every kind of bill imaginable in Washington, D.C., and you and I will never be respected because we have nothing behind us. The law is not behind us. Washington, D.C. is not behind us. The Congress, the Senate, nor the President is behind us. You haven't got anything in this country behind you and me. You and I have to get our people behind us. Our people in our own motherland and fatherland. Just like a strong China has produced a respected Chinaman, a strong Africa will produce a respected black man anywhere that black man goes on this earth. It is only with a strong Africa, an independent Africa, and a respected Africa, then wherever those of African origin or African heritage or African likeness go, they'll be respected. But as long as Africa is not respected, it doesn't make any difference if you're a doctor or a lawyer. Why, they'll bounce your head like a knot on the log no matter where you go. Can I prove it? Yes. While I was in Africa, they shot a Negro educator in Georgia. He wasn't raggedy. He wasn't uncouth. He wasn't uncivilized. He was an educator. He was as uppity and dicky as they were. And they still shot him. Why? Because he had nothing behind him. His education wouldn't save him. His degrees wouldn't save him. His profession wouldn't save him. No, because he didn't have anything behind him. The government wasn't behind him. But had Africa been a strong, independent entity that was respected and recognized by every other power on this earth, then the brother, who reflected all the characteristics of an African, whether he liked it or not, would have been respected by even the Klan and other people down there who are supposedly so ignorant and don't respect the rights of our people. So I say that we must have a strong Africa. And one of my reasons for going to Africa was because I know this. You waste your time in this country, in any kind of strategy that you use, if you're not in direct contact with your brother on the African continent who has his independence. He has problems, but he still has his independence. And in that independence, he has a voice. And in that voice, there is strength. And when you and I link our struggle up with his struggle, so that his struggle backs our struggle, you'll find that this man over here will pay a little more attention. You can sit on his door all day long nonviolently. He'll pay you some attention, but not the kind you want. So, brothers and sisters, when I went to Cairo, during the past 18 weeks, first I was in Cairo in Egypt, which is Africa, for 2 months. Cairo is a very interesting city in that you can find more headquarters there for organizations involved in freedom struggles for Asians, Africans, and Latin Americans, perhaps than in any other city on earth at this time. It's not an accident that so many summit conferences have taken place there. It's just a revolutionary city. And all thinking people today who have been oppressed are revolutionary. Anytime you find somebody today who's afraid of the word revolution, get him on out of your way. He's living in the wrong era. He's behind time. He hasn't awakened yet. This is the era of revolution. Now, I must just take time to clarify what I mean before some of these pencil scratchers misquote me, which they're going to do anyway. You notice 2 years ago, the American press was calling your and my struggle a revolution. Negro revolution. Negro revolution. Now, they didn't mind calling it that, and they didn't mind you referring to it as that, because they knew what was happening was no revolution. But when you start using the word revolution in its real sense, then they get shaky and start classifying you as a fanatic or something subversive or seditious or other than a law-abiding person. But today, if you don't understand it, we're living in an era of revolution, which means an era of change, when people who are being oppressed want to change. And they don't want a gradual change. They don't want the change to come day by year, or week by week, or month by month. They want to change right now. And Cairo is one of the cities on this earth that has the headquarters for more revolutionary movements in it, I imagine, than any other city. When I left there, and by the way, when I got there, as you know, they were having the African Summit Conference. All of our brothers were over there, getting together, discussing the problems of the world. It was a beautiful sight. especially when you live in a country where you and I don't have any chance to discuss anything but an integrated cup of coffee, or how to integrate some toilet in Mississippi. When you go and find independent African nations headed by their leaders, their heads of state, sitting down discussing problems of the world, the economic, political, and social problems of the world, why, it makes you feel good. It makes you get a new leaf on life. And when I got there, there was a great deal of pressure already being put on various segments of the African community to not open any doors. And these pressures were being put down by this government. I started not to say this government. I'm just going to tell the truth the way it is. Let the chips fall where they may. They had their men over there running around like mad with their money, trying to make it impossible for any American Negro to be included in any way in any conference dealing with Africans or dealing with international affairs. And they try to give the impression over there that you and I aren't interested in international affairs, that you and I are interested only in integrating Mississippi. This is the image that is very skillfully spread abroad of the American Negro, that you and I cannot see beyond the shores of America, that our mind, that our thoughts, that our desires and our hopes are limited to everything right here. And so naturally, any African who would believe this is shocked when he sees an Afro-American coming to an international conference, especially a conference that's composed of just independent African states. Some of them, this government again, has tried to give the impression over there that you and I don't even identify with Africa. And some of them get shocked when they see you and me turn in their direction. And I'm telling you, they've done a vicious job. This thing they call the USIS, the U.S. United States Information Service, is one of the most vicious organs that has ever been put together and sent anywhere by any country. It will make that propaganda machine that Goebbels had under Hitler look like a child's play. Look like child's play. Why, in every African country, on the USIS window has pictures in it showing the passage of the Civil Rights Bill to make it look like now every Negro over here problem has been solved. Go in any African country, and you know before you get there what's going to be in the window. They use the passage of the Civil Rights Bill to make it appear that Negroes aren't being lynched anymore, that Negroes' voting rights aren't being trampled upon anymore, that police aren't busting Negroes' heads with clubs anymore. No, they're using dogs to bite us or the water hoses to wash us down the drain. They make it appear that the Civil Rights Bill created a paradise in the United States for you Negroes. This is that thing they call USIS. It does a very bad job of creating the wrong image and giving the wrong impression. And on the to show you how vicious they are, and I'm within my rights to attack this. Actually, I'm not attacking it; I'm only analyzing it. On the 4th of November, the day that the election was over, the USIS circulated a document on me throughout the African continent, knocking me, you know. USIS, here I'm just a little old so-called Negro from Harlem, and they're going to waste all their paper trying to tell Africans don't listen to what that man says because he doesn't represent anything and doesn't represent anybody and has always been discredited. That's your USIS. I say a prayer for it. And I want to just say this too passingly for the benefit of our Muslim brothers who might be here from some of the Muslim countries, and you might get a bit nervous over what I'm saying and the way I'm saying. This is not a religious meeting. And when I come to a meeting sponsored by the OAAU, which is the Organization of Afro-American Unity, I put my religion in this pocket right here and keep it here. And when I talk like this, it doesn't mean I'm less religious. It means I'm more religious. I believe in a religion that believes in freedom. And anytime I have to accept a religion that won't let me fight a battle for my people, I say to hell with that religion. That's why I am a Muslim, because it's a religion that teaches you an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. It teaches you to respect everybody and treat everybody right. But it also teaches you if someone steps on your toes, chop off their foot. And I carry my religious act with me all the time. So when I left, when I got there, you know, they had all the freedom movements on the African continent. There are many liberation movements. There are movements of Africans from South Africa, from Mozambique, from Southwest Africa, Bechuanaland, Swaziland, Angola, every country, every area on the African continent that has not tossed aside the shackles of colonialism, they have developed a liberation movement. And the purpose of these liberation movements is to throw aside the oppressor. So at the summit conference, the most respected groups were these freedom fighters. The heads of the various liberation movements from the different parts of the African continent were all housed on a ship that was anchored in the Nile River, a ship called the Evis. They were placed there so that they could all be together, discuss the problems that they had in common, and at the same time it was excellent for security purposes, because you can't get on a boat so easily. So I was blessed with the opportunity to live on that boat with the leaders of the liberation movement, because I represented an Afro-American liberation movement. An Afro-American freedom fighter. And all of us were on there together. It gave me an opportunity to study, to listen, and study the types of people involved in the struggle, their thinking, their objectives, their aims, and their methods. And it opened my eyes to many things. And I think I was able to steal a few ideas that they use, and tactics and strategies that would be most effective in your and my freedom struggle here in this country. Some of them were nonviolent. I didn't listen too long to any of those. And others really want freedom. When a person really properly, when a person places the proper value upon freedom, there is nothing under the sun he will not do to acquire that freedom. Whenever you hear a man saying he wants freedom, but in the next breath he's going to tell you what he won't do to get it, or what he doesn't believe in doing in order to get it, he doesn't believe in freedom. A man who believes in freedom will do anything under the sun or achieve his freedom, and he will do anything under the sun to preserve his freedom. And the only reason you and I here in America don't yet have freedom is we haven't yet matured to that stage so that we can see this is the real price or the real attitude or the real approach that one must make. I was in, as I say, Cairo for, not Cairo, but Egypt, the United Arab Republic for 2 months, and then left and went to Mecca, where I was for about a week. I was in Saudi Arabia for about a week, in Mecca a couple of days, and left there and went to Kuwait where all the oil is, on the Persian Sea, and from there to Beirut in Lebanon. And after spending 2 months there in the Middle East, then I went on into Africa, the first stop, into other parts of Africa, I should say, the first stop being Khartoum, where since they've had a whole lot of trouble, which they should have had. Now everything is all settled. They had a revolution and got people that didn't belong in power out of power. That's how you do it. And that's what they did, the students. The students all over the world are the ones who bring about a change. Old people don't bring about a change. I mean, I'm not saying this against anybody that's old, because if you're ready for some action, you're not old. I don't care how old you are. But if you're not ready for some action, I don't care how young you are, you're old. As long as you want some action, you're young. But any time you begin to sit on the fence and your toes start shaking because you're afraid too much action is going down, then you're too old. You need to get on out of the way. Some of us get too old while we're still in our teens. So I went through Khartoum to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, which is a wonderful country. It has its problems, and it's still a wonderful country. Some of the most beautiful people I've seen are in Ethiopia, and most intelligent, and most dignified are right there in Ethiopia. You hear all kinds of propaganda about Ethiopia. But anytime a person tries to tell you, as they told you and me, that Ethiopians don't think they're the same as we are, that's some of that man's manufacturing. He made that up. You know who I mean when I say that man. They're just as friendly toward us as anybody else is. I was there for about a week, and went on into Kenya, a place which really knocked me out. If ever I saw any Africans who look like they have the potential for explosion, it's our good Kikuyu brothers in Kenya. And you know, I was discussing my opinion of the people of Kenya, especially in Nairobi, with some friends while I was there. And I told them that I just look in the faces of these people, they look like they can explode. And they do. They look like they can explode. More so than any place I went on the continent. You can just see right in their faces energy. Now, if you channel it in the wrong direction, the right direction, it goes in the right direction. If you let it go in the wrong direction, it goes in the wrong direction. But they got the energy. That's the most important thing. And proof of which they can explode. They exploded the other day. When the United States, with her criminal action in the Congo, and that's what it is, criminal action in the Congo. They marched on the embassy there in Nairobi, tore it up. And that shows you what the Africans feel. They don't like to see anybody exploiting another African or oppressing another African. They stick together. And you and I can learn that's what we're supposed to do. When something happened in Mississippi, we don't have to go to Mississippi. They got some people look just like those in Mississippi right here. And my contention is those up here are just as much responsible for what's happening down there as those down there. And when you and I let them know that we hold all of them responsible, then all of them will start acting right. They'll keep those others in line. But as long as you and I make them think they can pass the buck, then they'll be passing the buck. They'll be telling us, you know, Mississippi. And they're doing the same thing right here. So when I left Kenya, I went to Zanzibar and Tanganyika. Now it's called Tanzania. And I never went anywhere that pleased me more than that place. It's a beautiful, all of Africa is beautiful. But in Tanganyika, it's a very beautiful place. It's hot, but it's like Miami. Miami is hot. And if these people pay as much money as they do to live in Miami, well, you know, the entire African continent where I went looked just like Miami Beach. And they're always telling you and me, you know, how difficult a time we would have trying to adjust if we went over there. And I'm telling you, if you want to integrate, go to Africa. There's more white people over there than there are over here. That's where they all are. They're over there living like kings. Sure. Basking in the sun. When I left Tanganyika, I went to I went back to Kenya, and from Kenya back to Ethiopia, and from Ethiopia to Nigeria, which is another beautiful land, but it's in West Africa. I was there for several days and then went to Ghana, and from Ghana to Liberia, and from Liberia to Guinea, Conakry, a most beautiful country. It's got one of the best presidents on the African continent. And then from there to Algeria. In fact, I missed my plane I was supposed to go directly from Conakry via Bamako to Algiers by Aeroflot, and I missed it, and not to my own doing. The airplane company didn't give me the right information. They said that the plane left at 11:55. I got to the airport at 11 o'clock, and they told me that it left at 8 o'clock that morning. I talked to them in 4 languages. So on Friday the 13th, they put me on a plane to get me to Algiers, and I had, to show you what a small world this is, I had breakfast in Conakry on Friday the 13th, and had lunch in Dakar in Senegal, and dinner that evening in Geneva, and went to bed that night in Paris, and was in Algiers the next morning at 10 o'clock. So when the man made these airplanes for you and me, he made them so we could get around and let our brothers know what's happening. So, brothers and sisters, I tell you that to let you know that in all of the traveling that I did in the Middle East and in Africa, everywhere I went, I found nothing but open minds. I found nothing but open hearts. And I found nothing but open doors. Our people love us. All they want to know is, do we love them? While I was traveling, I had an opportunity to speak with President Nasser when I was in Egypt. I also had an opportunity to speak with President Nyeri for 3 hours while I was in Dar es Salaam. He's a most intelligent man and alert and knows what's going on. President Nasser is too, most alert and knows what's going on. I also, when I was in Nigeria, had a chance to speak with President Azikwe in Lagos and President Nkrumah, who stays up to date. He can tell you so much about what's happening in Harlem, you think he's out there on the corner with us. And you can quickly see why this man doesn't like him. He's hip to him, brother. And then I spent 3 days at the home, at the oceanside home of President Sekou Touré in Conakry. And I found him to be a man who lives by keeping himself well informed. He's very much concerned with the problem and the plight of our people in this country, and has excellent advice, too, to give toward solving it. When I was in Tanganyika, I was fortunate enough to be able to ride on the same plane with Prime Minister Jomo Kenyatta and Prime Minister Dr. Milton Obote when they were of Uganda, when they were going from Dar es Salaam to Zanzibar back to Kenya. I had my movie camera, and I had a chance while we were in Zanzibar to film Kenyatta when he was involved in a press conference, which was beautiful, plus by filming the whole scene, and I'll show those films here sometime within the next 2 or 3 weeks. It shows the young brothers in Zanzibar. And when you see those brothers in Zanzibar, you know why this man over here is worried. Those brothers got a whole lot on the ball, brother, and they don't play. In fact, not very many Americans make it to Zanzibar. They don't go for Americans too much over. This doesn't mean they're anti-American, but they know. So the main thing my main theme while I was traveling with our brothers abroad on the African continent was to try and impress upon them that there are 22 million of our people here in America who consider ourselves inseparably linked with them, that our origin is the same and our destiny is the same. We're kept apart now far too long. This doesn't mean that we're getting ready to pack up our bags and take a boat back to Africa. This was not the impression that I was trying to give, because this is not true. You don't find any large number of our people packing up their bags going back to Africa. That's not necessary. But what is necessary, we have to go back mentally, we have to go back culturally, we have to go back spiritually and philosophically and psychologically. And when we go back in that sense, then this spiritual bond that is created makes us inseparable. And they can see that our problem is their problem and their problem is our problem. Our problem is not solved until theirs is solved. Theirs is not solved until ours is solved. And when we can develop that kind of relationship, it then means that we will help them solve their problem, and we want them to help us solve our problem. And by both of us working together, we'll get a solution to that problem. But we will only get that problem solved working together. And this was the essence of every discussion. That the problems are one, that the destiny is the same, the origin is the same, even the experiences are the same. They catch hell, we catch hell. And no matter how much independence they get on that land, on the mother continent, if we don't have it over here and don't have respect over here, when they come over here, they're mistaken for one of us and they're disrespected too. So in order to be respected, we must be respected. And I say, brothers and sisters, they're beginning to see this. They're beginning to see that the problems are one, and they are interested in our problem, but they were shocked to learn that we were also interested in their problem. And if I were to have any advice to give to any of our people here in the Western Hemisphere, I'd say that it has been almost criminal on our part, all the organizations that we have, for us not to have tried to make some kind of direct contact, direct communication with our brothers on the African continent before. We should never let the white man represent us to them. And we should never let him represent them to us. It is our job today to represent ourselves as they are representing themselves. We don't need someone else representing us. We don't want anybody to tell somebody how we think. We will let the world know how we think. We don't want any handkerchief heads set up by the State Department as a spokesman for us telling the world how we think. We want the world to know how we think. We want the world to know we don't like what Sam is doing in the Congo to our brothers and sisters. Now, I must say this in brief. I was talking to a brother from the Congo, and I was talking to a brother from the Congo who was very angry. I was in Tanganyika. He had just come from Leopoldville, and he was very angry because he told me that out of all of the paratroopers, or 80 paratroopers, y'all have to stop handing me these things while I'm up here. I think this is Grand Central Station. You send my mind somewhere else. Yeah, he was telling me that he was very angry at American Negroes. And he was talking about us, you know, like a dog, not me, because he knows what I represent. The best thing the white man ever did for me was to make me look like a monster all over the world. Because I can go any place on the African continent and our African brothers know where I stand. He was angry because he said that out of the that most of the paratroopers, the American soldiers that were guarding these transports that Shelby was using, were American Negroes. That they put American Negro soldiers in there. I never had a chance to check it out. And normally I wouldn't stand up in a public meeting and say it. But when I first heard it, and I heard it from an Afro-American who works over there, I went and tracked this brother from the Congo down. And he's a very intelligent brother. And he said yes, and he was hot, you know. And so I sat down to let him know that all of us don't think like that. That they had to go all over the United States and with a microscope and find that many Negroes dumb enough to let themselves be sent to the Congo. Imagine a Negro that let himself be sent to the Congo in a uniform against people who look just like he does. Why, he should be shot with... So I let him know that wasn't us. That was somebody else. Also, brothers and sisters, you know Shelby. You've heard of him. From what I understand, Shelby arrives in the United States on Tuesday. He got a whole lot of nerve. The best thing they did for him in Cairo was when they locked him up. That protected him. Because Shelby can't go to any country where there are true black men, and walk the street in safety. This is the worst African that was ever born. The worst African that was ever born. This is the man who in cold blood, committed an international crime. Murdered Patrice Lumumba. Murdered him in cold blood. The world knows that Shelby murdered Lumumba. And now he's a bed partner for Lyndon B. Johnson. Yes, a bed partner. They're sleeping together. They're sleeping together. When I say sleeping together, I don't mean that literally they're in the same bed. But beyond that, they're in the same bed. Johnson is paying the salary, paying the government. He's propping up Shelby's government, this murderer. It is the Lyndon B. Johnson administration, the man you voted for. You were insane, out of your mind, out of your head, to go for a man like that. Drunk. But I don't blame you. You just were tricked. I told you a fox will always get you. So Shelby arrives here on Tuesday. And many of our brothers that belong to the African Students Association plan to give him a welcome. And since shucks, I have a religion that believes in hospitality. Everybody should be welcome according to their just desert. So the brother that's involved in this, I think Sidi Ali, where is he? Sidi Ali. Sidi. You want to let us come and give this announcement, brother. This is our brother Sidi Ali of Ghana. Our brothers and sisters, I have some quick announcements. Next week, the Audubon is not available, so our next meeting will be on the 13th, which will be a week from next week, 2 weeks from tonight. And at that time, the topic will be the Congo crisis. And I imagine this crisis won't be over because it's of such nature that they're in there now and they can't come out with clean hands. It's almost impossible for them to pull out. They went in and killed people. Now when they pull back out, what do you think will happen? They can't get out of it like that. And one thing you always bear in mind, as our brother pointed out, these young brothers that are in the Sandyville area, Oriental province, are not rebels or rebels as the press consider them. They call themselves Simba, which means lions, meaning they got it. And they're freedom fighters. And your and my heart should be with this. They are men. They are men, proof of which they are dying to get their freedom. They're killing too, but so what? They've been killed themselves, and all they do is they believe in equality. What's good for the goose is good for the goose. Also, always bear in mind that the only soldiers, Congolese soldiers, that are winning any battles or that have won any battles have been those brothers who are the freedom fighters. The Congolese soldiers that fight for Shombi don't win battles. They were giving up in the face of the freedom fighters. They were giving up the entire Congo. They were evacuating the place, and the United States got desperate. That's why they went and got Shombi. It went all the way up in Spain, and where Shombi had retired, had given up, was living the life. And they talked him into going back to the Congo and becoming the premier. And as soon as they got him back in position as premier, first thing he did was bring in some white mercenaries, murderers, because that's what a mercenary means. It means a hired killer. And this government, the United States government, supplies the salary for these hired killers from your tax dollars. Every time you pay your taxes, you pay in the salary for those white, blue-eyed murderers there in the Congo who are killing Congolese. And there's nobody in the State Department can deny it. In fact, I read in the paper today where Lyndon B. Johnson says he'll take full responsibility. And he should take full responsibility. He's pulling the same kind of acts over in the Congo that they've been pulling in Texas on you and me for the past 200 or 300 years. That's a Texas act. You know what kind of acts go down in Texas. But they can't win because the only way Shombi can remain premier is with help from the outside. He must get white help. So as long as Shombi remains the premier of the Congo, it means the white man is going to have to continue sending white soldiers in there to rescue him. And while he'll lose every white soldier he has. He'll lose them in there. So those brothers know what they're doing. In fact, what you and I need to do, many of us are vets. You've had all kind of experience, all kind of action. You've seen all kind of action, haven't you? But you've never seen any action for yourself, and you've never seen any action for anybody who is of your own kind. And many of you are unemployed. We might put on a drive right here in Harlem to raise up some black mercenaries and take them over there and tell them what to do. I know. You see, there's some kind of cultural, psychological block in the minds of our brothers there, or these white mercenaries wouldn't have the advantage. All they have is a psychological advantage. They wouldn't have that on you and me. You and I don't have that block. We don't have that cultural block because they destroyed us. We can think just like they think now. We can do the same thing they can do. And you can just give me 10 black ones and we'll eat up 50 of those white ones. Eat them up. And there's nothing wrong with that. Why? Because this government, this same government, has recruited what they call anti-Castro Cubans. which means he's an American, and send him over there. This government sends them over there to bomb the Congolese. But they're afraid to say that they're American pilots, so they say anti-Castro Cuban pilots. Okay, we got black people who can fly planes. We've been flying them for the man. Instead of you sitting around here driving a bus, remember how you used to fly a plane for him. Get on over there and get with it on the right side. If they can send white ones against black ones, we can recruit and send black ones against white ones. And I frankly believe that it would be most exciting. I know a whole lot of Afro-Americans would go for free, would go for fun. We don't need any money. We just want to get even. Now I'm going to tell you what they're going to do. Because I know them. They're going to get in their paper. Tomorrow you're going to read a whole lot of frantic, statements were made. As long as they're white people going over there shooting black people, nothing is said. They glorify them. But when you and I start talking like we want to do the same thing to some of them, then we're fanatics. We're bloodthirsty. But I think that the white man should know one thing. And when I say white man, I'm not saying all y'all or whatever you are. Because some of you might be all right. And whichever ones of you act all right with me, you're all right with me, as long as you act all right. But if you don't act all right, you're not all right. All you got to do to be all right with me is act all right. But don't come thinking you're all right just because you're white. I think that point has to be made, because if you don't clarify it, they go out of here saying you're a racist, that you're against all white people. We're not against all white people. We're against all those that aren't right. I mean, they write like they're out of their mind. They always are intelligent until they come around us. When you read what they write someplace else, they write intelligently. But when we let them in here and let them write, then they write things that aren't even of interest. Well, please. You say, why let them in? You say, why let them in? Sometime I'll tell you why I let them in. But if you don't want them in, we'll keep them out. Just give us 5 minutes, Brother, I think you should start here in the beginning, up in the front. Brother, all we ask you is, brother, I don't see enough. Brother James, we need more so we can go faster. We need speed. Some quick announcements. While I was in Arabia, if I may say this, while I was in Arabia, in Mecca, speaking with the religious officials of the Muslim World League, they agreed to send us a teacher an African Muslim. And the Muslim World League at Mecca has sent an African Muslim to America to give our people who are interested in Islam an opportunity to get a better understanding of it. Now, as I say, this is not a religious meeting. I'm making this announcement I'll make an announcement for the church. If you belong to the church or synagogue or something, I'll make an announcement for you too. But right now I have to get this in because, and this brother is here. He's Sheikh Ahmed Hassoun, an ebony black man from Mecca who has been a teacher at Mecca for 30 years. And the Muslim World League has sent him to this country to give you and me an opportunity to learn from him. And he'll be lecturing this coming Wednesday night at 2395 8th Avenue. That's between 128th Street and 129th Street. 2395 8th Avenue at 8 p.m. That's Sheikh Ahmed Hassoun. And also, he's conducting the Jummah prayer service, which is a Muslim prayer service on Friday at 12:15 at the International Muslim Society, which is located at 303 West 125th Street. Every Friday he'll be there. That's at 12:15 in the afternoon. It's on about the third or the fourth floor. Now, next Sunday, then, we won't have any meeting at all. But the following Sunday, the 13th, we will give you an opportunity at that time to have a question and answer period. And also at that time, as we announced earlier tonight, we're going to have some of the experts. We'll try to get some from the UN. I think that Dr. Smythe, who was on the Barry Gray show the other night, did a wonderful job. He had access to some facts that amazed me and pleased me because there was a professor there who happened to be white, I guess, who was very much imperialistic in his whole attitude, and I think that Dr. Smythe was able to smother him with some facts that shut him up quite well. So we will try and get others of our people who have these facts, who have this type of information, and who are in a position, who have been in positions in the past to have access to this information. We want our people who have that ability to come out here and contribute what they know so that we will be better informed on what's going on here on this earth, so that we won't have to go by what we read in the newspaper. And I think our brother Sidi Ali did a wonderful job in destroying that myth about cannibalism. The man is always trying to make it look like you and like our people are cannibals. Only cannibal I've ever seen, the only person I've ever seen who eat up people are those people. Not our people, those people. I'm not talking who, those people. Whoever fits that goes. And usually they end up trying to put all these characteristics on us to hide their own guilt. They shouldn't do that. And it should be emphasized over and over and over by you and me that we aren't racist. One of the worst categories to let them put you in is the category of race. I'm not a racist. I don't judge a man because of his color. I get suspicious of a lot of them and cautious around a lot of them from experience, but not because of their color, but because of what experience has taught me concerning their overall behavior toward us. So please don't ever go away saying that we are against people because of their color. We are against them because of what they do to us and because of what they do to others. And all they have to do to get our goodwill is to show their goodwill by stop doing those old dirty things to our people. Is that understood? Also, within the next couple of weeks, we will spell out the type of support we got on our effort to bring the United States into the United Nations and charge her with violating our human rights. You and I must take this government before a world forum and show the world that this government has absolutely failed in its duty toward us. It has failed from Washington, D.C. all the way into New York City. They have failed in their duty toward you and me. They have failed to protect us. They have failed to represent us. They have failed to respect us. And so since they have failed either willingly or because of their inability, we think that they should be brought up there and the world should see them as they actually are. Now, if the government, this government, doesn't want to have her linen washed in public, then we give her a week or two to get her house in order. And if she can't get it in order in 2 weeks, then get on up there with South Africa and Portugal and the rest of those criminals who have been exploiting and abusing dark-skinned people for far too long. We're all fed up. Right? Right. So, brothers and sisters, I want to thank you for coming out tonight. You shocked me because there was absolutely no advance What is it? Oh, get on there. I can't. Oh, what? They got it. I want to, where's Jesse Gray? Jesse Gray in here? Jesse. Stand up, Jesse, wherever you are. Where is Jesse? Where is he? Say, Jesse, please. Where is he? Is Jesse Gray back there? Is Jesse Gray back there? Yeah. We're happy to have our brother Jesse Gray. Come and take a bow, Jesse Gray. Come on. This is Jesse Gray, one of Harlem's chief freedom fighters. When I was in Cairo, I read that he wanted 100 revolutionaries or guerrillas or something. And that knocked me out. Brothers and sisters, give a wonderful round of applause to Jesse Gray. How you doing? Good to see you. Want to have anything to say? Just a word or so. Go ahead. That was our brother Jesse Gray, the leader of the Harlem rent strike. And what he said is true. When I speak of some action for the Congo, that action also includes Congo, Mississippi. That action also includes Congo, Mississippi. But the point and thing that I would like to impress upon every American, Afro-American leader is that there is no kind of action in this country ever going to bear fruit unless that action is tied in with the overall international struggle. You waste your time when you talk to this man, just you and him. Now, when you talk to him, let him know your brother is behind you. And you got some more brothers behind that brother. That's the only way to talk to him. It's the only language he knows. Well, why do I say make sure your brother is behind you? Because you're going to have to fight this man. Believe me, yes, you're going to have to fight him. You're going to have to fight him. He doesn't know any other language. You can go talk that old pretty talk to him, he doesn't even hear you. He says, yes. You know, you can't communicate. If one man is speaking French and the other one is speaking German, they both got to speak the same language. Well, in this country, you're dealing with a man who has a language. Find out what that language is. And once you know what language he speaks in, then you can talk to him. And if you want to know what his language is, study his history. His language is blood. His language is power. His language is brutality. His language is everything that's brutal. And if you can't talk that talk, he doesn't even hear you. You can come talking that old sweet talk or that old peace talk or that old nonviolent talk. That man doesn't hear that kind of talk. He'll pat you on your back and tell you you're a good boy and give you a peace prize. Give you a peace prize. How you going to get a peace prize and the war's not over yet? No. I'm for peace. But the only way you're going to preserve peace is to be prepared for war. Never let anybody tell you and me the odds are against us. Don't even want to hear that. As soon as you think the odds are against you, forget it. The odds are not against you. The odds are against you only when you're scared. Only thing that makes odds against you is a scared mind. When you get all of that fright out of you, there's no such thing as odds against you. Because when a man knows that when he starts playing with you, he's got to kill you, that man is not going to play with you. But he knows when he plays with you, you're going to back up and be nonviolent and be peaceful and respectable and responsible while you need to never come out of the closet. Let him know that you're peaceful. Let him know that you're peaceful. Let him know that you're respectful and you respect him. and that you're law-abiding, and that you want to be a good citizen, and all those right-thinking things. But let him know at the same time that you're ready to do to him what he's been trying to do to you. And then you'll always have peace. You'll always have it. Learn a lesson from history. Learn a lesson from history. And you'll never be in danger. Now, I must say this too before we close. I don't want you to think that I'm coming back here to rabble-rouse or to get somebody excited. I don't think you have to excite our people. The man already excited us. And I don't want you to think that I'm ready for some unintelligent action or some irresponsible action or for just any old thing just to be doing something. No. I hope that all of us can sit down with a cool head and a clear mind and analyze the situation in the back room, anywhere. Analyze the situation, and then after we give the proper analysis of what we're confronted by, then let us be bold enough to take whatever steps that analysis says must be taken. Once we get it, then let's do it, and we'll be able to get some kind of result in this freedom struggle. But don't let anybody who is oppressing us ever lay the ground rules. Don't go by their game. Don't play the game by their rules. Let them know now that this is a new game, and we got some new rules. And these rules mean anything goes. Anything goes. Are you with me, brother? I know you're with me. So again, I thank you, and we look for all of you out here, if possible, 2 weeks from tonight, on the 13th of November, on the 13th of December, rather, on the 13th of December. By the way, I want to tell you, I was in Paris Monday night before Allianz Diop's group, Présence Africaine. And our people in Paris, which there are many of them there from here, as well as many of them there from the African continent, are organizing, and they too are just as concerned with what's going on over here as you and I are. And you and I have to link up with our people who are in Paris. We have to link up, when I say our people, you know us. We have to link up with our people who are in London, in England. We got a whole lot of them over there, brother. I saw them. We got to link up with our people who are in the Caribbean, in the Trinidad, in the Jamaica, in all the islands. And we got to link up with our people who are in Central America and South America. Everywhere you see someone who looks like us, we got to get together. And once we get together, brother, we can get some action, because we'll find we are not the underdog. All those odds this man's talking about don't exist. He put them in our mind. Right or wrong? Very good. So we thank you, and we see you in 2 weeks. May Allah bless you.